Hello guys, welcome. This is a new type of video for my channel, so I'll get straight into it. Basically, I'm playing in a Gwent tournament, uh, Team Kreve League, Season 4. This is the first week, and I plan to record how I'm doing in this whole tournament, basically, but this is week 1, and I thought why not record it from the start, obviously. And we'll see if I get to week 6. Alright, let's just jump right into it. So the rules of this tournament are basically you play one game a week. There are 6 rounds, I think. 7, actually 7 Swiss rounds, 65 players, and basically you make a deal with your opponent when you want to play in the week that you need to play in, and after all the weeks are done, then it's over. So yeah, let's just jump straight into the deck list. I'm playing against this is my opponent. His name is Xhanthiax. I think I pronounced that right. I have no clue. Not a known opponent to me. I see a Team Bending logo. I think that's their youth division or something like that. Not sure what the difference is between the Blue Bandit and the Pink Bandit. Not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure there is a difference. So he is a part of a team, which obviously gives him some advantages. But first, let's jump into my deck lists, and I'll try to explain my strategy going into this week. So 3 decks that I brought. The first one is Jackpot. Well, pretty obvious. Jackpot with King of Beggars. Basically, the whole of last season was the most broken deck on ladder. Not too surprising that I brought something like this. Obviously, I had to make a few changes. I put in Morels because there's a lot of stuff that needs to get toll punished in this meta current. I think the meta is still very fresh, but I think Morels is a good card in this deck, even though by himself, 3-bit 6 to destroy something, not that great. If you weren't playing Syndicate, maybe you just want to play Geralt of Rivia rather than Morels, but in this deck with King of Beggars, where you get your points probably refunded, and obviously Morels is flexible, you don't need to actually spend this, you can just deal 4. I think it's good. Also, Ludovicus. Some players played Ludovicus in the previous meet as well. I didn't, but it was a consideration, since if you miss both, if you don't have both of them in your deck, if you miss the card that you have alongside Savolan, you never get your King of Beggars out. So I feel like you need to play 3 3-bit cards, and Ludovicus is a lot of profit. With this deck, I'm trying to, profit out of my coins. By that I mean I need a lot of coins to spend. Obviously 9 for Savola. I don't know how many for Philippa, depends what I'm picking. And I need 6 for Morels. And I also probably need a lot for Horson's Freak Show. So for profits, basically my best options are Siggy, Ludovicus, and obviously my leader. Also, this Eavesdrop is not bad. I play it because I think it's a great card if you want to have all your mulligans, to not be afraid into breaking into King of Beggars. That is especially important if you're playing the Devotion version, since you really want to draw this Savola even now when I have other options maybe in the deck for tributes. It's still very important to draw Savola, not just because he brings a lot of points, it's because the King of Beggars never actually comes out if I play only Morils and Ludovicus. If I play both of them, one coin remains unspent, and also since Ludovicus works in a way where actually the King of Beggars boots itself in the deck when you activate him, you actually lose quite a lot of points. I think 9 if you miss Savola just in general. So yeah, I also play Sol. I think if I have that many coins, he can be pretty good. I play Kurt because there are a lot of defenders in this very early stages of the meta. But I also play Philippa for even more control. This is basically a deck with a lot of control, but also a lot of punish and a lot of profit, a lot of coins. And it's got a lot of 4P cards, but usually it's pretty consistent. At most you miss one card, maybe, or maybe one card and a bank. It's unfortunate if you miss Savola and the bank, because that's pretty shit. Because that means you also miss King of Bears. But that's the worst possible outcome. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And I'm pretty sure it gets banned. I don't think you can let this kind of deck through. It has too many options, too much stuff to do. So on to my second deck. It's Nilfgaard, Double Cross. So some very interesting options by me here. Probably some, let's call them better players, would criticize me for this, but I actually cut Lydia. Why did I cut Lydia? In Artaud Bratton's deck with a lot of Assimilate. Why in the living hell did I cut Lydia? Well, because I really want to play both Heatwave and Invocation, because there's just a lot of stuff that you want to either toll punish or just remove from the opponent's field, which is I think is necessary. And since I don't have also a Purify in this deck, I just couldn't fit it in anyhow. I guess maybe I could, instead of an illusionist, one illusionist or one tortoise, I could have brought in Pellar. I don't think that's very good. So I did cut Lydia for these two. There were other options, obviously. I could have cut Vigo, but I really like Vigo because this deck has some problems with Taining, and if you don't draw both your Blightmakers, it can be tricky. So Vigo actually, if you roll into the Blightmaker, that's pretty good. That's extra thing. That's pretty useful. Also, it's an Assimilate card, and you can use it for many different things. I play the new buff card, Tourney Shelmar. Obviously great in Nilfgaard Mirror, but also can be even better sometimes, especially against monsters. Against monsters, this card is insane. Can get like, it can be like 20-24 for 6, which is kind of amazing. Really, it can really help you catch up to your opponent that just slams point slam, right? There are some matchups in which this card isn't that great, obviously. But I decided to play it. I think it's worth it for 6 provisions, definitely. There are also, in this meta, you could maybe put Peter in this place, but since I already have 2 toll punishes, 3 would be too much. If that were to happen, then I'd have to cut either Heatwave or Invocation, and then if the second toll punish isn't, a boosted unit, then Peter is pretty shit. So no, Turn Shelmar is definitely better. What else? You can't cut fur cart, obviously, because you need the spine tags for your Toad if perhaps you miss the Mage Torture or you just want more options. Fur cart is a great option for thinning as well, so just a good card. Not playing extra thinning with the, I don't know, I forgot how the card's called, the 7 provisioned one where you banish 2 cards from your deck and boost a unit by their provisions. I don't play because I just can't fit it in. I really want to play this Mano because I think Coup de Grace is just a card that you just must have in every situation. If you somehow miss Cut the Grass through the entire game, that's just depressing because it's basically 2 golds. You can play twice, and in this deck it's really powerful. Not only can you get another gold if you have your Roderick, you can also, if you for example, play Mage Tortures on a very strong card, you can play that card just right away and gain a lot of assimilate and stuff. So yeah, I really want to get that coup de grace, and this is why I'm playing Mano. Obviously, this assassination may seem a bit odd, very weird, like why are you playing this? Just for another tactic, I had 5 provisions that were just sitting there, and I want to play tactic. Obviously, there are other considerations. For example, you can play a Purify here and maybe replace one of the Arthan Tortoises with a Tourney Joust or something like that. Also pretty good decision. Maybe I'll do that in future. I don't know. I'm not sure if any of these decks even survive to the game 2, because to week 2, because each week you can actually change all your decks, since obviously the meta is evolving, and obviously for all 7 weeks you're not going to play the 3 crappy decks you picked in week 1. So yeah, that's pretty much everything interesting in this deck. Bribery is a regular inclusion in Assimilate, as well as the Masha Truffle with Illusionists. Not much else to say about this deck. My third deck, Battle Trance. Probably the most interesting decisions I've made in this deck. You may be wondering why there isn't Fukusia in this deck. What's this? Svalbard Totem and Gerd? What? And Gramist? Well, let me explain. So, even last patch, I really didn't like Fukusia in this deck because it's just a very bad matchup into Nilfgaard. Why? Because, well, maybe it's not an awful matchup, but they can basically just keep up better with you because you just run Fukusia, because they can probably play it twice or even thrice, and they can get a lot of points from that. And if you don't play Fukusia, they actually don't have that many options to copy from you. Like, well, in this version it would be Bride and Gerd, and that's pretty much it. You don't play Bride until maybe last card. Gerd you'd want to play round 1, so if they copy, they'll probably play it just once with Artaud, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal. So that's why I cut Fukusia. I just don't like it. I much rather like the Svalbard Totem that has other uses. It's also a proactive play, a good pushing card in general. I really like this card in this deck. Also, yes, this is a Wanderers list. I just like Wanderers in this list. I always did, ever since, well, the last tournament I played in Team Bandgags tournament. I don't remember how exactly it was called, but I actually reached the semifinals, and in my journey to the semifinals, I realized that this Sunset Wanderers is kinda insane, especially in this deck, because usually you can just play all your cards and you still, even if your opponent plays all their cards, you still have getting it left for round 3, which is just game winning. So yeah, that is why I play Sunset Wanderers, for more pressure. Now, why am I playing Gerd? Isn't that completely random? Well, I didn't really know what to play in this provision. 7-8 provisions. I didn't know exactly what to play. This was kind of the only card that I even considered. That there weren't many other options. You could play maybe Ermion, but I didn't like it personally. I don't like Ermion that much. It's more thinning, that's good, but if you don't have your preachers, it's not that many points. I don't know. I'm not sold on Ermion. And why I am sold on Guard? Because he is pressure in round 1. With this deck, I feel you really want to win round 1 in this meta, because other decks just might beat you in some very cheesy ways on ladder currently. For example, if you play against Gurney, you're probably dead. If you play against Nilgard, you're probably dead. You play against Syndicate, you're probably dead because all your preachers get answered. So you really want to push your opponent and just try to play and see if they have all their answers round 2, and try to get as many resources out of them as possible. So that is why I play Guard. I really want to win round 1. While I'm playing Grimist, a lot of defenders again. I really want to get through that defender, and I have some control, very limited obviously in this deck. I have the Decoction. The Delirium is not going to help me if there's a defender in the same row, but you never know. And also the Heatwave. If you spend your Heatwave on the defender, you won't be able to answer the thing they're trying to protect. So naturally, I really want the Grimist. And other things is pretty, I'd say, normal. Nothing surprising. Just one Half-Roof is maybe shocking. Just one Scald is maybe shocking, since I'm not actually playing Coral. That is risky. I am very aware of that, but this is a tournament environment and I'll be playing this deck on Blue Coin. So I think it's a risk I'm willing to take. Hopefully it doesn't bounce in my head. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm tired today. But anyway, let's see what our opponent is playing. Let's see what I'm thinking of his decks. The first deck, it's the Shinmiri Enslave, Shup Enslave. So this deck was actually one of the more popular choices last season. I also played it till 2477 MMR, and after that I switched to a different leader, but still kept the Shup Radea stuff because I did think it was quite good. I never actually liked the Treason version, because the Treason is basically only good against Scoia'tael, Milva, but it's most of the answer for Saskia. So, and that's pretty much the only thing it does. It's not really a surprise factor since everybody played this deck. So yeah, Treason I really don't like, especially since it's open deck list, and I don't know, I don't think this deck is that good in this current meta. I might be wrong, My opponent may smurf me, but I do think this is his worst deck against me. Actually, my matchups against this deck, not sure if he'll play it on blue or red, but I think I win with Battle Trance with my blue coin. Actually, this matchup is one that I probably just pass, because he really wants to win round 1 with this deck, so he can push with all his golds in hand, basically. And, well, I also want to I want to try to have all my gold, so I just pass. So I think I win with this deck. With my double cross, I think my double cross is just better, which might be wrong. He has a lot of control. Also, he doesn't actually have that much stuff that I'd like to copy. I mean, Lydia, sure. Ardell, maybe, but Ardell is just like reset 3 in my deck, so not that great. And maybe a lock. Not that many options. Lydia is basically the only good option for me. He can obviously enslave one of my engines, which is also not great for me. So this matchup, the Nilgard mirror, might be a bit tricky. Not quite sure what I'll do against this. But if I play my Nilgard, I play it on my red coin, so I guess he'll push me, and we'll see how many points, how many goals I drew in round 2, if I can actually contest him, you know? We'll see about that. And with my jackpot, I also think I win. Though, if I just miss all my goals round 2 and he pushes me to death, then I'm obviously losing. But as I said, I think he'll just ban this deck, so I don't think it's a problem. So for the second deck, he brought a very irritating deck to play against, but obviously if you have a lot of control, this deck is not that great. Also, if you have a lot of push, this deck is also not that great. So this is going to be very tricky playing against this anyway. So obviously with Jackpot, I think it would be quite easy to play against this, since I have too much control for him to handle. Against my Nilgard, it's going to be difficult. I would really need to... He either needs to miss his Defender or his Melusine, or I need to draw both my Invocation and my Heatwave to answer that immediately, and then try to push round 2. I just need to win round 1, because you can't go into a long round against this deck. You just can't. And with my Battle Trance, if I draw my Gremist and my Heatwave, or even Decoction, I think I'm fine, but it's not clear. So a difficult deck for me to play against with this lineup. He'll probably win again, because I don't want to ban this deck, actually. I don't want to ban it. I think he'll get it through. I do want to ban his Jackpot, because obviously I also think it's just still the best deck. Well, maybe not as strong as last season, and obviously it has a few bad matchups, like, for example, if you play against Gurney, you're probably dead with this deck, I think, especially if they play the Unicorn. They just get your King of Beggars out and you're fucked. You can resign right there. But I think I'll ban it, because just like my version, it also has a lot of control. He doesn't play Philippa, instead he plays the Professor. And apart from that, most of the time is same-ish. I mean, he plays Poisons, I don't. But everything else is pretty same-ish. So yeah, I'm going to ban this one. Maybe I'll ban this one instead, but I do think I'll ban this. definitely not banning this, and I think I can beat his deck twice. So obviously you want to get into every competition thinking you're going to win, every match thinking that you're going to win, and that's what I'm planning to do. It's not going to be easy, but I do predict that I'll be able to win 2-1. I haven't really played Gwent last 2 days because I haven't been doing well on ladder. The meta is kind of frustrating at the moment for me, for my playstyle, and I just want to keep my head clear for this. And after that, I'll try to grind the ladder for next week, obviously, and for the next week of this, so I can have the best decks that I'd want to have, naturally, and to see a different perspective after this match. So yeah, I'm going to be recording my games, but not commenting when they're happening because I need to focus, but after they happened, and maybe I'll do a quick little commentary on what went wrong, what went right, some key moment stuff. Alright, but until then, see you then. Bye bye. Hello guys, back again after the match, and guess what? I did win, and I did win just like I said, 2-1. I did 2-0 his Nilfgaard list, so that went according to plan. Some other things didn't, naturally. For example, I really thought he was going to ban my Syndicate list, but he actually banned my SK list, which was interesting, definitely. I actually thought that was... I don't know, I think all three lists are kinda similar in strength, but I think I was maybe the least comfortable with that one, so I was actually very happy to see that. Though maybe I would have been even happier if he had banned Nilfgaard, simply because I think Nilfgaard had the worst matchup against his Nilfgaard. Unfortunately, I couldn't record the games because when I started recording, my game started to freeze for whatever reason. I'll have to check that out, why that happened. So naturally, I didn't want to compromise my game, maybe risk it crashing. So I just didn't record. I can still, though, tell you a little story how the games were played. Very shortly, since, well, I can't really show you, I can just tell you what happened through just decks. So let's jump into my opponent's decks again. Probably should have opened it before starting this video, but you know, I was pretty excited. So, okay, I didn't play his Syndicate, so I don't know why I'm opening that actually. However, I did play against his Rage of the Sea. He was first game 1. He was going first. I was second with my Syndicate list. I actually had a brain fart. I thought I was going first, and I wanted to play with my single Syndicate on blue coin, but I killed my Syndicate with red. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes, but oh well. I said because still Syndicate has a lot of control, and maybe I can win this anyway. I didn't, though it was close. I did manage to control him round 1 a bit, not winning on even, unfortunately. Did push him round 2, got out his Folmar, Fukusia, Covenant was gone, I Philippa-did round 1, his Melusine had gone out twice as well, though he can do it 3rd time, and that's what he did round 3. But I didn't manage to get his Ryogan, unfortunately. I passed when he played the Fulmar, his 3rd card to last, and I only had Savola left in hand, and I couldn't activate it, so I just passed. And unfortunately, round 3 I bricked my King of Beggars, which I was hoping it wouldn't happen. Actually, both games I played Syndicate, I missed both my bank and my what's it called, my eavesdrop. So both games I played Syndicate, these 2 cards were missed, which is pretty bad. So unlucky for me, but never mind. I won my second game against his Nilfgaard list. As I said that I will and would do, I won round 1 against Enslave. I passed. He played his Shoop for carryover, and I won without really any issues, like 15 points lead, something like that. Even though I didn't even draw my Siggy. So I missed Siggy, I missed Bank. Pretty bad, but still won pretty easily. I guess he missed his Ramon in that game. I mean, missed. He didn't miss it, he just didn't have a soldier for the Ramon, so he mulliganed it. I'm also pretty sure he didn't play the Treason, which, well, I said that this card is just bad, and it was bad. If you're mulliganing a 7 provision card, you're doing it wrong. This card is not good in an open deck list, and I mean, maybe it would have been good if people were playing Saskia. Maybe he really thought that many people would play Saskia in this tournament. I don't think so. Stat-wise, Scoia'tael I think is the worst faction at the moment. So yeah, I still hate that inclusion. So yeah, game 3. That was the game that I was, kinda worried, because Assimilate and Slave, it's kinda 50-50. A lot of things have to go well for me. But, I drew my Blightmaker, I drew my Vigo. Let's open my deck list for a bit. Where am I? I'm here. So yes, I drew my Vigo, drew my Blightmaker. Great. That problem is I can either push him or, even better, win on even. So he made a very funny, a colossal mistake round 1. He actually, he played Imperial Diplomacy into the Viper Witcher, I think that's what he's called. The one that discards a card from on the top from the opponent, so the Mill Witcher. And he discarded my second Blightmaker, but since I rolled the Blightmaker with my Vigo, that was actually just bonus thing for me. But guess what? I'm the Nilfgaard player, and I'm the Assimilate Nilfgaard player, so the second he played his Calvate, naturally I had Duchess Informant in hand, so I just banished his Ardell. And then he passed, because he understands that if we keep playing, how maybe just banish another one. So he passes, loses on even, and loses Ardell, but I didn't want to pass. I still wanted to play the fur card into the coup, into his Witcher, so I can also banish his Shoop. And then, round 2, I just play the Mashi Truffle and 2 bad cards, and pass on 7, so he can't do anything about that. He also has to expand his Blightmaker, which is actually in this Enslave Shoop deck a pretty good card. It's basically played just for points, no other reason. So yeah, I was really happy about that, insanely happy. And then, naturally, I was pretty sure I was gonna win round 3 with all my golds, and he was missing. Actually, no, I did miss my Tourney Shelmar, which kinda sucks. It's 11 point play, but not a big deal. especially since he misses 2 of his top golds from his entire deck, which is great. He opens with Ramon. I copy his Ramon and play our Todd into into the Ramon, and I copy my Illusionist, and naturally I get one huge Nilfgaardian Knight later. So that went great. And in the end I won by some... I actually think I won by less points than I won with my Syndicate, which is funny because this game was like the obvious win. But still. That's why I said it was an interesting matchup. I actually don't know what I would do if he didn't make that colossal mistake with the Witcher in round 1, because I lose the long one, round 3, for several reasons. He has a lot of locks in the Enslaved deck, so he actually takes away my Assimilate. I actually had no Assimilate engines active in round 3. He always just shut them down instantly, which I expected to happen. Also, my Invocation and Heatwave are both pretty bad in this matchup because they play down on its provisions, because his deck just doesn't play high base strength or boosting units, so those cards are bad. So it would have been really tough if he didn't make that mistake. Probably I would try to win round 1 uneven, and then push him with some bad cards and just try to win with my absolute best in round 3. That's probably my tactics that would be in a regular game, let's say. Unfortunately, I couldn't you couldn't see that happening, but I hope that it was interesting insight anyway. So yeah, sorry, I'll try to do better next time for the second week. And for now, it's time to be on the grind again, find some new good decks, yeah? Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see ya in the next Kreve recap, or maybe something else if I upload some other video in that period. Cheers!